Thoughts on taking a gap year after college? We'll graduate next year, planning to take one and completely explore things. How do I maximize and make full use of that gap year?
So, it's funny. Actually, Ali Abdal did a gap year. Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I'm pretty. So Ali Abdal, he's got I think 1.2 million subscribers. His channel is primarily productivity and that kind of thing.
Okay.
He also talks a little bit about technology and that kind of thing. But he actually is a doctor who just happens to also have a huge following. But maximizing the time, I think, just being very intentional about how you want to utilize that time, and being very what are the things that you want to explore, what are the things that you want to try out, and what are you hoping to get out of the year. Being very intentional in that way, I feel, is probably the best way to maximize it. I'm sure there are a lot of good examples of people who have taken quote a gap year, and actually even Joe Polish this year is taking a sabbatical. I mean, it's not that much difference from a concept standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I basically did this. I had my business in my last year of university, and I had the choice to either go and take the 100K a year job or do my business. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give myself a year. I'll give myself a year. If I can make it work, great. If I can't, then I'll go and get some other kind of job. And luckily, I never had to go and get a job. Now, I already knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to try my business, see if I can make it work. Even though I didn't have a high, I knew this was going to work for sure. It was still an experiment, but I thought I'd much rather go and at least give it a shot, so I know that if it doesn't work, at least I know it doesn't work, and then I can not regret that I didn't give it my best shot. So I did it, and I mean, it worked out. Never had to go get a job again. If you don't know what to do, I would start. I don't know how much time you have between now and when you're actually going to be graduating, but I'd start immediately making a list of the things that you want to give a shot, so that when you finish you graduate and you don't know what, tomorrow you wake up, what are you actually going to spend your time on? What are you going to spend your time doing? So you have some kind of plan there, that it's not just, okay, I don't know, I hope I get inspired and something happens. So even when I sold my business, I took another gap, 2 years, a year and a half. I went to go work at a venture capital company because I was just curious about venture capital. I wanted to learn how it worked, and I wanted to just get some experience because I never had to raise money myself in my business. So I thought, okay, let me just go learn about the process, and work there, helping them generate leads. And they were all in their 60s or 70s and gave me great insight into how businesses were run. A lot of the advice that I give now is based off of what I learned through them, because before that I only knew one business, my own, right? I didn't have a lot of experience or exposure to things. But when you're in venture capital, you get to see all kinds of different businesses and models and opportunities. So I did that for a year and a half, 2 years, and then found the thing. I got into speaking. I started building my website. So even there, I was like, okay, I want to, even though that didn't become the thing, I didn't become a venture capitalist for life. That wasn't my long-term ambition. I was curious enough about it that it made me want to go explore it. And I'm, super grateful that I did, and the lessons that I learned through it. So that's what I would focus on. Like, okay, what do you want to do? You're going to take a year off? Great. A year is not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, your parents might think it's a big deal, but a year is not a big deal. But how are you going to spend that year? What are you curious about? Start making a list. Start having a plan, so that you don't wake up and 3 weeks go by and you still haven't done anything for your goals yet. Absolutely. We'll keep what both of you said in mind. We'll be very intentional. So let's workshop it since you're here. Like, what are some of when do you actually...
Yeah,
when could you actually
start?
Yeah, when could you start? Is this like tomorrow? Is this in June? When do you actually start this? And then what are some of the things that are on your list of what you'd like to do? He said next year, June 22nd, when I graduate. Ah, then you got lots of time. We're talking about a year, dude. Okay, here, Sid, stop thinking about a gap year. This is your gap year. Not in that you actually take the time off, but what are some of the things on your list, and start doing them right now. Don't worry about where you're going to be June next year. What can you do on your gap list right now? What are some of the things? Give me 3 of the ideas that you got. My goal is until next year I can learn all the skills possible so that in the gap year I just maximize on the dues. Sid, this is what we need to guard against. The over planning. We've talked about this before on the channel too. The over planning, the over preparation, the over all of that. You could have your whole business set up and you don't even need to wait for the gap year. Maybe by the time you get out, it's not even considered a gap year because your business is taking off. That it's just a no-brainer to just go do your thing. Right? So what are some of the things? What are some of the things that you'd want to do in your gap year that we can start doing right now? You say something, Drew?
I was going to say, no time like the present.
No time like the present. That's it. Let's go.
You're right, Evan. I guess you could say the over planning part is a weakness that I am working on. He says, but in this case, I don't know how to express what I'm thinking.
Great. Well, that's why we're here. Let's do it. We're workshopping it right now. So contact Zan. He says he was thinking about taking a gap year, but it wasn't until June next year. He said, forget about June next year. What can you do right now? So what are some of the things that you would do in your proposed gap year? What are some of the, we don't even worry about doing them right now. What are some of the things that you would do?
Okay, maybe this is more clarity for you. He said, the reason I don't want to start with my online brand now is because both me and the people that are going to be in my team are going to be occupied this year in final year projects and assignments. And I want to give it my 100% time. Ooh, That's why I don't want to start it this year and rather in my gap year.
No, boo, no. That's what we need to fix. That is the exact thing we need to fix. I'll do it when I have time is the thing that kills so many businesses. No, you have to start now. You have to start now because what's going to happen is you're going to find another excuse in a year. You have to start now. Even in a small way. Of course you start my brand and create content. Of course you could do it part-time. Of course. Yes, the greatest thing you can do is start right now. Start your brand, start making content. If you have time to sit here and watch us and ask questions, you have time to start your brand and create content.
Okay, yeah.
Why are we going organic? Was Lux banned?
He said gap year in India means the gap year between college and post-graduation university.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, so you may not want to go and get another more degrees, but dude, a year, man, the year can fly by. Give yourself a head start. The worst thing you can do is say, okay, I'm gonna wait until I have a full year, and then find out once you have your full year that the year wasn't enough, and then you end up going back to school where if you just had 6 more months you could have actually made it because you started a little bit earlier. You have to start now, Sid. You have to start now. You have to. This hurts your brain, I know, because you like having it all planned out and perfect. You have to start now.
But see, I think this doesn't matter. I'll read it anyways. But he said, till then, I am not just sitting around and just planning. I'm taking action, learning things like shooting, editing, etc., so that I can capitalize on those skills when I start the brand.
The best way to learn is to do. That's how you learn. Go do. It's a whole other level of learning. You actually want to learn it and be ready, you start. Just reading or taking a course or practicing on the side or without actually ever producing something that's without the intention to make it public, you're slowing down your own learning.
Yeah, and I feel like at the same time, if you're going to, there's no one's going to watch those first 2 to 4
Zan and I will
anyways.
watch.
Well, yeah.
But apart from that, yeah, nobody's
yeah.
watching.
No.
This is true.
So.
Yeah, Sid, you have to start now. You have to start now. You're gonna regret it. This is the problem with over planning. Planning is great. Over planning leads to regret.
Corey says learning can also be a form of procrastination too. And like they just said, the best way to learn is to do.
Yeah, Sid, don't stop delaying. Stop stopping.
Well, he said those words just sunk in. Absolutely. I would start creating content right away, even if I have to achieve those posts later.
Post something. Even this is good. Where's Sid from? Is Sid in India too?
Yeah, I think he's in India.
Yeah.
Sid, this week you have to post something.
You're right, Evan and Drew. Planning is good, but trying to be a perfectionist is doing more harm than good. And I think that perfectionism, I think that perfectionism habit is getting in my way. Gonna start putting out stuff right away, even if it is flat out garbage or not as good as I envisioned.
So I posted something to Movement Makers today, and then I did a quick story on it on my Instagram. So you can see a small version of it on my Instagram if you want, of the video, my 750th video or something like that, where it was the first time that I went off. Every video that I did up until that point, I had some kind of script. I was worried about memorizing my lines, worried about it being perfect. 750 videos. We're not talking like 750 videos in. And this is the first video that I made where I was just so angry or upset or emotional. They're like, you know what? I'm just going to make a video on this. And it was the late night, and I sat on the floor in my bedroom. So the quality is garbage. And I just pressed record, and I put it up, and it was 3 minutes. And I'm making a series. So Mark asked me to make a series of what are my 3 favorite videos of all time on the channel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's one of them. Because it's a big turning point for me to actually lean into emotion and lean into imperfection and lean into just making. And that gave me a lot of, it wasn't my best video, but it certainly had the most emotion of any videos that I've done. So anyway, that's one of my top 3 videos.
Should I work on one thing at a time? Yes.
Inside all those ideas, what can you work on right now? It doesn't mean that you're giving up on the other ones, but what can you work on right now and start building some momentum towards that you're deeply passionate about?
Okay, so Sid says to get further context before this, I thought I would go to a studio and record myself end of this year. But after having heard this, now I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go to the studio right away. I'm just going to do it. The day the nearby studio opens is closed now because of lockdown. I'm going to... No.
I'm sorry. I'm yelling at Zane because Zane's reading it. Sid, we're not waiting till... You don't need a studio, dude.
I'm used to it, Sid. It's okay. It's okay if you got it. I'm used to it, man. Let's go.
Sid, no. This week you have to make a video from your home. You take out your phone and you press record. I still make videos for my channels from the car. From using my phone, sitting in the passenger side while my wife is driving. Even if we're going through a car wash or she's shopping at Costco, I'm sitting there filming from my phone. You can do it. Absolutely do not wait until the studio opens. You have to stop buying those excuses.
Yeah, so yes, sir, absolutely, this week.
All right, there we go.
Not going to wait anymore.
Yes, there we go.
Because at the end of the day, Sid, he wants to get you into action. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and to not have...
Y'all can yell at me without hesitation. I consider y'all mentors and friends.
Did you just make him go y'all now?
Are
you picking up the Zane y'all?
He said y'all.
Are we taking y'all to India now? Is that what's happening?
Hey, man, it works, man. It works.
That's hilarious. I like it.